In this chapter we'll review the most important blood tests. Why do we need those? Just like physiological measurements, blood tests add to the picture from a different viewpoint. They aren't better or worse than physiological measurements, they supplement our analyses of our progress. An example, let's say that Mary has dropped 10 kilograms or 22 pounds, because her doctor told her to do that, due to rising cholesterol. So Mary did this as best she could. But instead of cholesterol getting better, it has gotten even worse. This tells us that Mary has lost most of the weight from muscle and water mass, and that her metabolism has only worsened, even though she would be very proud to have dropped that weight. That is the reason why we can't ever count on only one measurement but different ones in combination. So let's go over the most important blood tests. Blood sugar self-monitoring, mandatory for people with blood sugar metabolism impairment. It is by far the best measurement how blood sugar actually reacts in everyday life, not just random laboratory tests once a year. The standard method is 3 to 5 day periods when blood sugar is taken after fasting, and then before every bigger meal, and 1.5 to 2 hours after. This gives us a complete picture of how the blood sugar levels behave. For blood sugar goals, refer to the attached table of normal and pathological levels. The next section is about laboratory blood tests and should be taken at least once a year for people with medication illnesses or impairments in metabolism, and about every 3 years for healthy adults. Of course, one's doctor will plan individually how often one should go to tests, these are just for references. Glycated hemoglobin or long-term blood sugar. This is a good way to test the average blood sugar level of the past 2 to 3 months. Should be taken at least once a year for people with high risk for diabetes or people with impaired blood sugar metabolism. Full blood count. From that we can see the hemoglobin levels, and red blood cell measurements, from which we can get indirect clues about iron deficiency, and some other things. Reference values differ, no ideal range. Sodium, potassium and serum creatinine, also known as body's hydration level markers. Sodium and potassium are the two main electrolytes in blood, and creatinine is a protein metabolism end product that gets secreted into urine by the kidneys. Those can give a good idea of kidney function and hydration. Reference values differ, no ideal range. ALT or alanine aminotransferase and other liver enzymes. Liver enzymes are risen in many different acute situations like some medication and gastroenteritis. Chronic mild rise most often refers to fatty liver and is a good marker for overall visceral fat level. Of course there are many other things that can cause this, that's why it needs to be analyzed in context, alcohol overconsumption being the obvious reason. Ideally 0 to 30 UL range. Lipids, LDL, HDL, triglycerides, the common blood lipid panel. Usually used as a cardiovascular risk assessment, but works much better for metabolism assessment blood test. One single test is never enough to assess one's cardiovascular risk. There are different formulas used to analyze lipid profile, for example, LDL/HDL, and the closer it is to 1 the better. Triglycerides are below 1 millimole per liter in a healthy body. H is CRP, sensitive C-reactive protein, inflammation marker which is the best measurement for low-grade inflammation. The problem is that it is very sensitive to many different things, that's why 1 to 2 high measurements doesn't automatically mean low-grade inflammation. Should be below 1 mg/L. Above that it points to low-grade inflammation. Vitamin D, one of the most important vitamins for metabolism, and is below optimal for most people here in the north. Should be 100 nanomoles per liter or above. Those were the must-haves for metabolism evaluation, but there are many more blood tests that could give us an even wider picture. For example, thyroid hormones, different vitamin and mineral levels, hormones like insulin, cortisol and others. All those require a competent doctor to analyze correctly. Just looking for reference values doesn't give much information. There is a lot to know about laboratory tests, they don't learn to be a doctor for 10 years for no reason. But there's no need for you to know everything. If you know the basics, then it is better than 99% of people.